Hey, and welcome to my channel. So glad you clicked the link because I've got a very special idea for you. I'm going to let you be the judge, though, give you everything you need to make your investment decision. Now, categorically, I consider this to be a workhorse stock because it's got limited downside and possible explosive growth to the upside, both in the near term and the long term, because this company is in robotics. That's right, this hot buzzword on Wall Street right now, following closely on the heels of AI. You're going to see a lot of companies start to take traction, and this is one of those companies that has provided an opportunity for you, and I'm going to tell you why. Zimmer Biomet Holdings, symbol ZBH, and website Zimmer.com, was actually the spinoff of the well-known drug company Bristol Myers Squibb back in 2001, and then a few years later in 2014, they combined with another well-known company, Biomet. So they have been around a long time, $7 billion in revenues, $24 billion market cap. They're a member of the S&P 500. They're also on the Fortune 500 list of companies. So institutions, they know who this company is, they know what they do, and they know the opportunity that awaits them. Now, I said this is a robotics company, but you're not going to see their parade of robots. You're not going to see them putting their robots by factory workers. You're not going to see pictures of them working their robots in the Defense Department. This is a robotics company that's quiet, that's silent, that's behind closed doors, that few people know about. It's in the operation room. See, Zimmer makes the artificial parts and the necessary robotics for the replacement of body parts. Primarily the shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles. They really do the entire skeleton, but primarily those areas, and they serve a huge and growing market. There's 10 to 12,000 people that turn 65 every single day in America alone. And as you can imagine, these types of surgery require a high degree of precision, so robotics has found its home here. Now, while you might think that there would be this ready adoption in the surgery room, the penetration in the US market is only 20%, and globally it's only 10%. So there is this huge opportunity for Zimmer to expand their footprint, to run after market share, and increase their revenue in a short amount of time. So if there's this huge opportunity with this company, why hasn't it rallied? Why isn't it already too late? Why are people not buying the company? Good question. See, only a few years ago, Zimmer Biomet started going through a turnaround. Now, one thing you have to know about turnarounds is a lot of Wall Street says we don't have time to wait on this to take hold. We don't know how long the new CEO or new initiatives are going to take before they start to impact the bottom line. But this new CEO, he came in and he said, look, I've got my hands full, but here's what we need to do. He had to fix the corporate culture because morale was low and attrition was high. You had a 20% turnover with their employees, so he fixed that. And then he said, all right, and also, let's become best in class. Let's get rid of these divisions that take us away from our core competencies. And also, you know what? Let's stop trying to sell to 125 countries and let's focus on our top 15. So that's what he did. And then he turned around and he said, all right, now, let's focus on product. One of the things that was introduced was just last year, actually. It was the first of its kind robotics for shoulder surgery. That's a very complicating process, but if you know your friends who have that rotator cuff problem, now there's hope for them to return to a normal life. Now, this was slightly before his time, but another product the company released will absolutely blow your mind. It's called Hip Insight, and I provided a link to the news announcement below. You'll have to see for yourself. But the only way I can describe this is it's something out of a movie. Specifically, it's something that looks like it's out of Minority Report. You know that movie with Tom Cruise? You know the scene where he's trying to move these pictures around in a hologram to solve these anticipated crimes? Well, the same application applies to these hip surgeons. And what they do is they put these goggles on and they can see the parts of the hip, take them out in a hologram and examine their dimensions so that they can see and anticipate any problems they might have when they start operating. It's unbelievable. Now, another initiative this CEO took was he hired for the company what's called a Chief Mobility Officer. And the purpose of this officer would be to help clients in pre and post-op understand how these replacements are going to help them and what they should do before and after surgery for their recovery. But you'll never guess who this Chief Mobility Officer is. You all know him. His name is Arnold Schwarzenegger. You heard me right, the Terminator. Now, how ironic for a company that conceivably could be a maker of cyborgs in 20 years, since they're already making body parts now. But I thought it a brilliant move. Arnold Schwarzenegger gives them a lot of exposure. He's enthusiastic, word will spread, but something worth noting because that was only a couple of months ago. Probably the greatest thing the CEO did for the company was he doubled the number of products in their product development pipeline. So much so that in the next 3 years, they're going to see 50 new products come online, and that should be a dramatic help to their revenue line. Now, before you go running to buy this stock, one other thing that provides an opportunity for you that you should know about is during this turnaround, this CEO put into place a software, an enterprise-wide software to help with the efficiencies of the operations of the company, but there were glitches. So when you have glitches, you're going to have problems, and they did, and there were shipping problems, there were disappointed customers, and when that takes place, obviously it's going to cost more money. They have to wash that through in their earnings, pay fees, just overhaul the entire system to make sure everything gets back to normal as quick as possible. But that is what's happened. That can now be a problem that's considered to be a part of the past. It's washed through the balance sheets, and now we can get on with business in the new year, in 2025. Ironically, here we are on the backside of this turnaround, and guess who just upgraded the stock in December, just last month? A heavy hitter, JP Morgan, put an outperform on this stock just ahead of earnings in the new year. When are earnings? Well, a little less than 2 weeks, on February the 6th. So you've got a little bit of time to consider this. Don't take too long. Maybe just nibble it. It's a high-priced stock. It's $110, but you should know that it can be one of those stocks, again, that can move pretty substantially over the course of this coming year. Now, in the future, your kids are going to be looking at different trends and things that happened as they were growing up, and they're going to turn to you and say, wow, well, didn't you see that trend taking place, that robotics trend? And you might say, yeah, well, I mean, I was diversified. I was in the S&P, or I bought Tesla. I bought some of these other companies I thought might take some traction. But, you know, it was really hard to know where to go with your money as it was happening. Or you can say, you know what, I did find this channel and I subscribed. I found this guy who talked about these kinds of stocks. And in the process, you know what, I freed the bull.